So it is with great pleasure to introduce Ashish Jajoo, who has been at Mylan and for 6 years now, the head of global digital marketing and social media. And for 4 years prior to that, he was actually he founded the practice of digital marketing at Cyber, who many of us know. He's strategic, he has broad industry experience in business and digital technology. He is responsible now for leading the development and implementation of globally scalable solutions, data analysis, market research, and converting them to business opportunities. A little bit about his background. He has a bachelor's of engineering degree in mechanical engineering, and an executive MBA from the University of Pittsburgh. Numerous certifications, including PMP. He has had a million leadership positions, even though he's not that old. So you seem to have done pretty well, working his way up to his current global position at Mylan. He actually lives in Upper St. Clair with his wife and family. He is a huge Steelers fan. I hope this is a good season for that. He does a couple of interesting things. On Saturdays, so listen up if any of you have 6th to 8th graders, on Saturdays he volunteers math tutoring at his house. How about that? That's pretty impressive. So all of us should probably show up. But that's a big deal. Good for you for doing that. And he loves Bollywood music, as do I. And he is a huge Tom and Jerry fan. So on that note, I would like to pass the baton, and you're going to hear from our keynote speaker, Ashish Jajoo.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, yeah, because I don't do very well with these. Thank you, Audrey, and thanks everybody for taking this time. Obviously, part of the challenge that any keynote over lunch has is what's more important, the food or the talk? You got to balance that out. Anyway, I'm not going to be really diving deep into many concepts and theories around where digital and data come together, because all of us know that. But at the end of the day, my goal is to walk away from here having everybody at least carry home a message that there is data out there which we call, whether we want to call it big data or small data or data sitting in data lakes or what have you, there is an opportunity to energize that data and build experiences by energizing that data, which are extremely memorable. And those experiences, essentially in this day and age, are digital experiences. Thank you very much, guys. This is an obligatory slide. I've been speaking across the country and also sometimes in Europe, and I just cannot do without this slide. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Philadelphia at a pharma-specific conference, and I even put up the Stanley Cup out there with Sidney Crosby. So, there was a lot of cheering of the other kind at that time. So this is the most important slide that I have in the entire deck. Every mistake that I make here, everything I talk about is my own, and basically, you can attribute it to me. A quick, have you all heard about Mylan, guys? Anybody here know about Mylan? We've been in the news lately, haven't we? But one of the things that very few people know is our mission. Our mission is actually to have affordable quality medicine available to 7 billion people in the world. And that axis is exactly the mission statement that we all rally around. So very important for us to get that message out there. and also something that we all work toward on a day-to-day basis. It's about 35,000 employees that we have globally. We have a presence in over 165 countries, and a product portfolio of greater than 2,700 products that we are in separate products, independent products, not SKUs, by the way. So a fairly significant large-sized portfolio globally with about 3,400 products still in evolution and development, with government approvals being one of the key stepping stones that we are obviously having to overcome there. So that's a little bit about Mylan. Now,
in 1962, the Jetsons showcased explosive advances in the arts, science, and engineering. The show anticipated much of the technology we see today. Amazing things like intelligent or fully autonomous cars, robot assistants, high-def flat-screen televisions with easy-to-use video conferencing, and that same experience on a connected smartwatch. Projection, hologram, virtual, and augmented realities where we can share experiences and purchase items right from our home. Personal computers and specialized devices like e-readers and tablets that bridge the physical and digital world, personalized wellness tracking, and customized nutrition. Connectivity everywhere, keeping us in the know on the go. Connected medical devices and clinical decision assistance. The Jetsons provided a blueprint to get us started, but the future is here. What's next?
You gotta have it up here to know how to start these things and stop them and start them again.
So, on that note, we're not going to be talking about rocket ships and autonomous cars and things like that. I'm pinch hitting on this one. Basically, there was a NASA scientist who was supposed to be speaking as well at this slot. So I'm going to be focusing more on some earthly stuff, and that earthly stuff is the potential that data has, and this potential, how can we convert that potential, that energy, into something which is more kinetic, more actionable, more dynamic, which can be related to business and commercial value on a day-to-day basis. So just quickly, by a show of hands, guys, and I know we have forks and knives in our hands, so be careful. How many of us are actually what we would call either IT or geeks or in the room? So about 45% of the room. And then the remainder, y'all call yourselves business in some way, shape, or form, right? So I beg to differ a little bit on that, because we are all in the business one way or the other. IT is actually out there to help business. And so Audrey, thank you for the introduction. In my journey, well, I'm not going to date myself. I wasn't around for the Jetsons to be live for sure in 1962. But the idea about how IT actually helps business and how business functions with IT together, that is where the whole dichotomy of data and digital coming together actually functions really, really well. So most enterprises have a couple of goals, right? Growth is one aspect of it. And to achieve that growth, everybody is actually looking at either innovation or disruption. Most companies do not want to be steady cash cows unless that's their business model. Now, how do you achieve that? Big data and digital strategy are the two enablers, are the two vehicles that modern organizations have to actually get to a point where they can facilitate innovation, and then innovation will actually lead to disruption, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The final piece of all of this is the volatility, the uncertainty, or VUCA. This is from, obviously, the US War College. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and then ambiguity that surrounds everything that we do. So basically, as long as we mitigate risk and innovate toward it, we should be in a good place leading for our organization toward that. So very quickly, I did a quick word search or word cloud for big data. And not surprisingly, diverse opinions came up, right? Because everybody is looking at big data from their own perspective. And they're all right, by the way. There's no wrong answer to that. But when you do the same word cloud search for digital and digital opportunity, also a similar diverse picture emerges. What that tells me is those lenses that people are applying are very, very specific and focused to their challenges as they face them in their world right now. What I'm trying to say is we should establish a framework which actually surrounds these three major aspects. So what digital is to data is innovation is to disruption, right? Data enables digital, same way innovation enables disruption. And business goals, whether it is your North Star for the organization or it is just purely a functional goal that you have at a point in time, without a business goal, one should not ever start a quest of bringing digital and data together. And at that middle point of where these three intersect, the data analysis, digital experience, and the business goals piece is where you start to see innovation and you start to see disruption emerge. Back in the day, especially data analysis, which was done by linear thinkers, more left brain, were diverging in one direction, and the digital experiences or experiences themselves, which is primarily a creative mind's workspace, which is right brain thinking, they never got together. But it is imperative that content and data come together to create those experiences. And that is where I think the next innovation is going to start coming at. So I want to try and wrap this around healthcare because Mylan is a healthcare company, and that is where I've been for a fairly long time. We all want good healthcare. And that good obviously needs to be defined. And we want this healthcare, good healthcare at a low cost. And one thing everybody knows is adherence is key. And by adherence, I mean the gym membership that I had activated 2 months ago, and I've never been there before, so it's a donation. Yes, right? It's the medication that I was supposed to take but forgot. Yes. So, by the way, medication is such a huge challenge, medication adherence. So anybody who is on a long therapy journey, right, or in a situation. So the prescription refill rate right now is 2.6 prescriptions that get refilled when they're written for an entire year. So what that means is that people, though they know that adherence is key, but there is a significant drop-off after 2.6 refills. And with the drop-off comes bad health outcome, right? And the drop-off can be for multitude of reasons, right? It could be for access, it could be for non-availability, it is just probably forgotten because I'm feeling better now, all of those things. And so as you'll start to see that underlying all this is a significant science of data. And that leads me to healthcare is all about a science and an art form coming together, right? So there is a subjective aspect to it, and then there is the objective piece to it. The objective is the evidence-based medicine where all of us know, we watch these ads on television, and then at the end of the commercial, they have this fast rant that goes, that piece is all the side effects that they call out. That is all evidence-based. But the art of it, guys, is the fact that aspirin was actually supposed to be a headache medicine about 115, 120 years ago, whenever Bayer brought it to market. But now we know that aspirin is a blood thinner as well. It is also a fever reducer and so many other things where actually you could crush aspirin and put it on a wound and it helps you keep infections off. That, though it is actually off-label use of aspirin in industry parlance, but that is the art form. So that thought actually for me was prompted by an NPR story where somebody who was actually offering first aid in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, they were talking, the physician was talking on NPR about how he used a particular medication off-label to actually resurrect a patient who was almost in coma. And so it's very significant how these things come together. And lastly, we've all heard about Randy Pausch, right? I mean, Randy is well known in Pittsburgh area. One of my colleagues was had the good fortune of having lunch with him one time, and Randy asked him, Randy was talking to him about how, there will be implants in a human body. And my colleague, who is, my age, so you can imagine he was a little resistant. He's like, I'm not letting anybody poke anything into me and put it there forever. And Randy goes, yep, you're not the target audience. It's those guys who walk around and have no problems leaving their computers unlocked, who do business on the cell phone all the time. And oh, by the way, most of them have tattoos. So they've already been pierced. So they don't have a problem with that. So Max Planck, obviously about 150 years ago, knew about this. He knew that actually science evolves one funeral at a time. It's fairly a very philosophical statement there, but it's absolutely true. Ideas do not die. Ideas just morph, and they will come into being at some point in time. So where is healthcare really heading in this new day and age of technology? Healthcare has two major new horizons that it's going to be heading toward. One of them is digiceuticals. And digiceuticals is literally using your smartphone to actually cure you. There is just no doubt about it. It is going to happen. And then it doesn't cost $1 billion, actually, to conduct all the trials around there. The first FDA approval for an app, which is a medication, was last week. So it's already happening. But guess what they're treating? They're treating insomnia. So all of us know that phones distract you, they actually prevent you from getting to sleep early, but they're actually using an app and it's FDA approved, to put people to sleep. And it's proven to be as effective, if not more, than actually the medicines that are available in the market for now. The other piece is personalized medicine. And this is where I'm going to bring data and digital experiences back together, guys. Personalized medicine is really, really important, where you can segment people and patients, so people are patients, segment patients by either their geography, their genealogy, their demographic, their psychographic, so all these attributes, but then other than that, what they suffer from, what products they are using, and so on and so forth, and then tailor medication to that individual so that its efficacy is the highest for that particular individual in their context. So it's a really powerful medication treatment regimen that's going to come out pretty soon. And data is really what is going to drive that personalization. So when you look at a healthcare organization, whether it be the manufacturer of medications, whether it is the provider, which is basically a hospital system or a physician's office or what have you, or a caregiver in that case, or it's the payer organization, insurance companies and so on and so forth. Inside, we are really all very fragmented, and by design, we need to be fragmented because there are systems that actually need to do things on their own, whether it is R&D, whether it's clinical trials, whether it is, basically quality assurance data around what efficacy I'm getting out of my drugs. It's supply chain management information, whether it's customer records and so on and so forth. All of them need to be in silos. But when I'm experiencing that as a patient or as a consumer or a physician or any user of that particular organization from the outside in, that has to be a homogeneous experience. It cannot be fragmented anymore, because that is the expectation that the consumerization of technology has helped us set. It's not that it was always that way. It was okay to be on hold for quite a while when people punched data into systems and got screens that responded like 3 minutes later, it was okay at that point in time. But not now. Now we expect our apps, we expect our responses from customer service to be really rapid and accurate. So that's what data has done for us. That's what technology has done for us. So when you look at a healthcare organization from the outside in, because that to me is the best way forward, guys. And here's the reason why. The reason is the two most important stakeholders in a healthcare ecosystem were the physician and the patient, or the HCP and the patient. The relationship that they had is changing, it's transforming. And it's actually shifting 180 degrees. We still wait for appointments as patients from physicians, but pretty soon that's going to change. And if anybody is in the healthcare business and not read the book, The Patient Will See You Now should really do that, because it is extremely insightful on where this whole marketplace is going. But to that point, when a patient is actually self-diagnosing themselves and looking at the physician to validate that diagnosis, right? We all do that. Before we go to a physician, we actually have a list of questions that we want to ask that physician. And oh, by the way, if my right foot was hurting, is it gout or is it a sprain? I'm already trying to diagnose that, right? I'm trying to get there. And that is what technology is doing for me. It's personalizing that experience to a degree where my physician is becoming a consultant now. Okay. So to make that happen, the healthcare ecosystem, and I freely borrowed these graphics from the internet. Thank you very much, everybody. But the whole idea is, it is complex. It is extremely complex. And the reason I have some of these slides is, from different lenses, it looks different, but at the same time, one theme is common. It's complex. So if we want now to create experiences that we talked about, if we want to create experiences and activate our digital channels, leverage this data, we have to set up some key design principles. So from now on forward, whatever I'm saying is actually trying to establish that framework that y'all can apply to any industry. Doesn't matter where you sit in that industry and in that life cycle, whether it is in the IT world or whether it's in the business function or somewhere in between, but all of this is going to apply very seamlessly. We talked about science, and so who am I to dispute what Mr. Einstein says, right? In the middle of all difficulty lies the opportunity, and that is the opportunity that you have to look to identify. It is the North Star, whether it is a project charter that you're setting up or whether it is a big bang release that y'all are going to do. Identify the opportunity, quantify the opportunity, measure the opportunity before you make the next move. And the next step, again, we all know Da Vinci as an artist, but he was also a scientist at the same time, right? But simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. So it's very clear that if we embrace these two principles and build around them, we will really be more successful in creating solutions and creating systems and architectures and information overlays and dashboards that actually will resonate. So very quickly, I need a volunteer. Anybody? There, sir. So yeah, if you don't mind coming up to a microphone somewhere. My question to you is, up until the age of 20, what is your most memorable experience?
You just added
That
to it
is
there.
going to be one of my memorable experiences.
Up until the age of 20?
Yeah. What is your most happy memory? Let's just go there. Do you recall it?
I had a lot of happy memories as a child.
Awesome.
I'm drawing a blank on the
Okay.
Pick a one, but
Yeah.
no, winning the intramural football championship.
Beautiful. So now, if we want to break it, tease it apart, right? Was it the experience of winning the championship, or what happened thereafter that you recall as a memory, or was it really just purely that instant in time?
It was probably just the milestone of what we accomplished to get to that.
Right. But it's the experiences before and after that differentiated that milestone in time, right?
I never really analyzed it much, to tell you the truth, so it's hard to give
Thank
you an answer
you.
on
So
that.
there is research out there to prove this, by the way, that 99% of memories that we have actually are experiences. And therefore, if we apply, so thank you very much,
Sure.
by the way. I appreciate your being such a sport. So the experiences, as I was saying, are what we remember. It is not normally milestones come and milestones go, but it is the experiences that remain with us. It's whether it's a friend that we met at some point in time or what have you. And therefore, those memorable experiences, those experiences is what really one should strive to build. And data and personalized data is really what is going to help you build that. So continuing that theme of conversation forward, if you look at the ecosystem, we looked at very complex ecosystems for healthcare, but there are 4 major stakeholders. It's the provider, which is the physician. It's the patient who's receiving all of this, the payer, which is the insurance organizations, and the pharma company, which is the manufacturer of the medications. But we also have science on the one side with technology and data analysis, all of these coming together. If we bring these into an experience which enables the physician and the patient to have a conversation, we will be really able to create those experiences that matter. So to that point, from a marketing standpoint, we used to look at 4 Ps earlier, right? You had the product, place, price, promotion. I'm adding personalization, and it's not just me, guys. A lot more intelligent people than I are already talking about it. So that personalization moves it from a presentation to a conversation to an experience. And basically, that's where we need to be. When you set up goals for your projects, start to think in terms of how am I going to experience what I am trying to do here? I'm just going to keep building this because I'm under a time gun now. So data-driven personalization experiences have to be driven by attention, because attention is the currency of the future, for sure. We know that. Our attention span typically on a mobile app is, 183 seconds or something like that, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood. If you don't find it, you're going to just go away from it. And then those experiences that you really have, which actually retain your attention, is where you have to be from. And to make that retention of attention happen, you need those personalization that comes from data. And putting it into a healthcare context, I'm going to literally read this word by word because it's important. Design digital experience that lower costs and increase speed to care while improving outcomes and delivering better care, right? So it is about the patient. It is about improving outcomes, but we need it fast now. We don't have the patience. We don't have the ability and the luxury of time on our side anymore. So what does that framework clearly look like? Define the why. What is the business function that you're going to look at? So please, 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 always go across every single stakeholder. Do not limit your vision at the beginning. When you start to define the why, go across all stakeholder channels. Look at what your problem statements are and what your null hypothesis is going to be. What are you really expecting the outcome to be? Sometimes we really don't know what the outcome is, and that's a fine null hypothesis to have. When you look at data types, right, we can all go through every single data type that is out there, but try and at least bucket them. And I've just put 4 examples out there. But try and experiment a little bit. And the whole idea about experimentation is in the approach there. You want to figure out, oh, why, do I need to build a Hadoop cluster right now on my own? Or can I rent it for now? Can I rent it and experiment with it? If it is successful, then I can go ahead and build it. There is an opportunity to do that. Now, these days, in the whole world of virtualization, where technology is such a commodity, that approach is really a very good one. It's a very solid approach. You can have a rent-to-own approach. You can modify those contracts to do that. And then lastly, if something's working for you, obviously you want to build it. You want to own it at some point in time. The last column over there is extremely important in my mind. It is, you have to test, you have to refine, optimize, and oh, by the way, keep repeating that process. Because at the end of the day, it is a journey and not a destination. Always. Anything that we do with technology is going to have to continue to evolve. And therefore, always, you want to look in terms of experiences and evolving those experiences. You want to focus on your turnaround times. And oh, by the way, all of us work in some kind of a regulated environment. So you need to have very solid governance processes put in place, whether they are global, regional, or local, but they need to come together. And last but not the least, benchmark and measure performance, because that is where you actually tie it back to the business case that you began with. I'm going to skip some of the examples, but very clearly what we're doing is taking different aspects of technology, one of them being gamification, and then the other piece is overlaying that with augmented reality, and overlaying that with internal systems which help us from CRM data to actually bring research data into it. So we can real time, a physician can see what's going on in their world. And actually, that one image was borrowed from Microsoft, but this one, again, from a particular university where you can bring all of these together. So just examples and screenshots, but I'm happy to talk about any of these mixed reality experiences after the time's over here. So always think in terms of a digital organization. And I'm not here to say which organizational model is best. Obviously, there are people in every organization who are charged with figuring that out. But the way a digital organization functions is it's very, very nimble. And why that is important is it offers you the chance to be flexible, and it also offers you the opportunity to fail fast. And therefore, if you look at a data set, which is on the left-hand side, again, some examples, look at how you're going to deliver that to your audience. Segment the audiences. So it's about the experience that you build for those audiences. And then keep evolving them. Because at the end of the day, you will achieve your goal one way or the other, because no project fails, right? It just keeps moving. The yardstick keeps moving forward. So always think in terms of a digital organization. Be fast, be nimble, fail quickly if you have to, but actually keep moving forward. Some key takeaways, guys. Design digital experiences that are repeatable, and both from a data and a content standpoint. So we work in a global economy now, in global organizations. I cannot afford to think in terms of silos. Oh, I have this small piece of data here, and this is what I'm going to be worried about. Nope. I need to be able to expand that. I should be able to have a presence which can go cross geographies, can cross regions, can cross territories. And oh, by the way, organizations do morph, right? We acquire businesses, we sell businesses. Data actually is also a part of those acquisitions. It's valued. There is valuation associated with that data. So it has to go with the business. So architect it in such a way that you have the flexibility to carve things out and also put them back together very quickly. Identify digital and data champions across the world, because if you are in a global organization and if you do not have these champions, then building momentum around programs is always going to be difficult because language becomes a barrier, time zone becomes a barrier sometimes, and expectations are also a barrier. What's called success, obviously, in the United States may not be success elsewhere in the world. I'll give you a great example. There was one of the two largest soft drink organizations in the world, and they are not Coke, ran an ad in the Middle East. And the ad was, there's an individual who's walking in hot summer in the heat, and they are actually very tired, so they're sweating. And this is a print ad, by the way, sorry. And they drink this product, they consume the product, and they become energized, and all of a sudden they're running in the desert. But guess what? In the Middle East, they'll read from right to left and not left to right. So somebody who is running now drinks this product, consumes this product, and then they're all out of breath. That is how the people read it. So it was. So context is very, very important, guys. You cannot lose context on that, and therefore, focusing on execution is really where you bring that all home together. And last but not the least, obviously, I'm a big proponent of measuring results. There's just no way you can lose sight of that. So the future is here. We know that. The Jetsons told us that. But the time is now. You have to actually, there is an imperative to energize your data and activate those digital experiences. Thank you.